Imagine a highly educated man, right? Like someone
Yeah.
whose literal job is to promote logic, learning, modern thought.
Okay, yeah. Like a teacher or a bureaucrat.
Exactly. Now imagine that same man genuinely believing his newborn daughter is a demon sent to kill him.
Oh, wow. That's quite the pivot.
Right. How does a human brain hold both of those realities at the exact same time? Well, welcome to this deep dive for the Simplified Summary channel.
So glad to be here for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be a good one. But before we unpack the mechanics of today's incredible story, do us a huge favor. If you haven't already, please hit that subscribe button, drop a like on this video, and, share your valuable comments below.
Please do. It genuinely fuels the whole operation.
It really does. Your support is what keeps these in-depth explorations going, and we honestly read every single piece of feedback you leave us. So let's jump in. We have this fundamental assumption in the modern world, I think. We tend to view education as the ultimate cure-all.
Oh, for sure. You learn the facts, you pass the exams, you get the degree.
Right, and we just assume you are suddenly immune to irrational fears. It's like installing an antivirus program in your brain.
That's a great way to put it. You think you're protected.
Yeah, but then you look at actual human behavior and you realize that antivirus program has massive, sometimes fatal blind spots.
Completely. Yeah.
And that tension, like the collision between intellectual modern education and primal, deep-rooted cultural superstition, that is the mission of today's deep dive.
I love that.
We are looking at a brilliant short story by the legendary Hindi writer Premchand, and it's titled Tentar.
Premchand was just an absolute master of the sociological X-ray. I mean, he doesn't just write plots.
No, definitely not.
He exposes the bones of society. He shows us the mechanics of how people actually operate under pressure, which is often completely detached from what they claim to believe on the surface.
Yeah, and the premise of the story, it just hits you right in the chest from the opening pages. We are brought into a household where a baby has just been born.
Usually a happy occasion.
Usually, yeah, sweets are distributed, there's singing, there's joy. But here, the house is plunged into this absolute suffocating mourning.
Just instant dread.
Exactly. And the reason for this despair is chilling. The mother has just given birth to a baby girl, but this is a family that already has 3 sons.
Oh, okay.
So according to local superstition, a daughter born directly after 3 sons is what they call a tentar.
A tentar.
Yeah, she is considered a walking, breathing omen of doom. The rigid belief is that a tentar will inevitably bring death to either her father, her mother, or to herself.
It's a very specific cultural mathematics, isn't it? Like 3 boys plus 1 girl equals a curse.
That is exactly what it is.
And from a psychological standpoint, the absolute certainty of this belief is what drives the whole narrative. I mean, this isn't a vague, lingering worry for the family.
Right, it's not a maybe.
No, to them, a guaranteed death sentence has just crossed their threshold.
So to understand why the family reacts with such terror, we have to look at the head of the household, and this reveals the central irony of the entire text.
Yeah, this is the best part.
The father, Pandit Damodardat, he is not isolated or uneducated. He is a highly educated man. He literally works in the education department.
I mean, you can't make it up. His day job is to champion knowledge.
Right. But when this baby is born, he is completely paralyzed. The text describes this grim, almost claustrophobic atmosphere. The mother is in the maternity room, practically drying up from dread.
Just consumed by it.
Yeah. And Damodardat is sitting out in the courtyard, profoundly depressed. And the grandmother, this is wild, she's sitting at the door, actively cursing the newborn baby.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she calls the child a demoness and loudly wishes she had been sent to a barren woman's house instead.
The level of hostility directed at a literal newborn is staggering. You have 3 generations of a family entirely consumed by a phantom threat.
It reminds me of, people who understand the incredibly complex physics of building a skyscraper.
Oh, I know where you're going with this.
Yeah, like they know the engineering is flawless, but they will still absolutely refuse to live on the 13th floor.
Exactly. Intellectually, they know it's just a number. Emotionally, they won't step off the elevator.
Right. Except here, the superstition isn't about avoiding a floor in a building. It's dictating the value and the literal right to life of a human being.
Which is terrifying.
It is. But I have to ask you, is Damodardat really just a hypocrite here? Or is it more that under a life or death level of stress, anyone's logical antivirus software is just prone to crashing, no matter how many degrees they have?
That is the crux of the psychological conflict here. I
Oh,
wouldn't call him a simple hypocrite, no.
okay, why not?
Well, what Premchand is demonstrating is the vast chasm between intellectual acquisition and emotional conditioning. Like education, especially formal bureaucratic education, like Damodardat experienced.
Right, the textbook stuff.
Yeah, it often sits on the very surface of the mind. It's a tool for employment. But emotional conditioning, the stories your grandmother told you, the collective fears of your community, the inherited anxieties, that is hardwired into your nervous system.
Wow. Okay, so it's like the foundation of the house, whereas the education is just the paint on the walls.
That is a great way to visualize it. When a high-stress event occurs, like a birth carrying a perceived death threat, the brain bypasses the neurological cortex entirely.
It just shuts down.
Basically, it drops straight into the primal, survival-driven amygdala. Damodardat's logic is overridden by the primal fear of his community's collective belief.
So the fear of the curse is simply louder and older than any textbook he has ever read.
Exactly.
And the real-world consequence of this internal psychological collapse is devastating. Because the adults are entirely trapped in their own heads, the newborn baby is physically neglected.
Right, she's starving.
She is literally starving. And the mother's reaction is particularly complex and painful to read. The text notes that she tries to put on a progressive front.
She wants to be modern.
Yeah, she claims she wants to be like the MEMS Western women, essentially, who don't believe in the Tentar omen. She even goes so far as to order singers to come and celebrate the birth, actively trying to force a modern reaction.
She is attempting to act out the script of a modern, educated woman. She wants to be seen as someone above the village superstitions.
But her physical actions completely betray her. She physically distances herself from the child. She cannot bring herself to hold or feed the baby she believes might kill her husband or herself.
It's a complete inversion of the maternal instinct.
Yeah. The physiological revulsion is overpowering her intellectual desire to be modern. She wants to be progressive, but her body is treating her own infant like radioactive material.
And the real tragedy is that while the adults are fighting this internal, invisible war of ideas, a real physical child is fading away.
Just slipping away in the background.
Yeah. It highlights how deeply ingrained this fear is. You can't simply pretend a phobia out of existence, especially when your community reinforces it.
So the educated adults are completely paralyzed by this heavy inherited knowledge, and that leaves a massive vacuum in the household.
Someone has to step up.
Right. The only ones capable of stepping into that void to save the baby are the people who haven't been educated yet.
The children.
The children. There is a remarkably moving incident in the text. The family has an older boy, Sidhu, and a younger brother. One day, they catch the household goat.
Okay.
And in a rare, almost unthinking moment of practical affection, maybe his paternal instinct breaking through the fear for just a second, Damodardat takes the starving baby and puts her mouth to the goat's teat.
Wow.
Yeah, and the baby suckles, and her face just lights up. It's an incredibly striking image. This purely mechanical urge for survival completely bypasses all the adult hysteria in the house.
It's life insisting on itself.
Mm-hmm.
Pure, unadulterated survival meeting sustenance.
I love that phrasing. And Sidhu, the young boy, he turns this into a daily game.
Because he doesn't know any better.
Exactly. He doesn't know he's supposed to be terrified of his sister. To him, she's just a hungry baby. So he and his brother start enticing the goat every day with bran and chaff.
Oh, that's so clever.
Right. They feed the baby multiple times a day, and the transformation is miraculous. Within a month, this starving, neglected curse becomes a plump, radiant, thriving little girl.
Premchand creates a profound, multi-layered contrast here. I mean, look at what the adults represent.
You're a mess.
They are weighed down by knowledge, both formal education and traditional superstition. That heavy, corrupted knowledge brings an innocent child to the absolute brink of death. Their minds are too full of societal expectations to act with basic humanity.
And the children are armed with nothing but a lack of prejudice.
Exactly. They haven't been taught the complex cultural math of the Tentar. They don't look at the baby and see a metaphysical threat.
They just see a baby.
They see hunger, they see a practical problem, a hungry sister, and they find a practical solution, a goat. They become our saviors simply because they are blind to the bias of the adult world.
It's so powerful.
It is. We often view children as empty vessels waiting to be filled with adult wisdom, but Premchand flips that entirely. Here, the adult wisdom is toxic, and the child's empty state is the only thing capable of genuine compassion.
It really makes you wonder how much of our own wisdom is actually just inherited fear.
Oh, definitely.
But, as the baby begins to thrive and the household seems to settle into this quiet rhythm of survival, a completely unrelated event happens.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, an event that threatens to validate all their darkest, most primal fears.
Let me guess.
The grandmother falls severely ill.
The inevitable complication of multi-generational living.
Absolutely. And you can predict exactly what happens next. Instantly, the entire family links her illness directly to the baby.
Of course they do.
The baby is a tentar, the grandmother is sick. Causality is instantly established in their minds. It's terrifying because their brains are actively looking for evidence to prove their fear.
Yeah.
They take a normal biological event, an elderly woman getting sick, and weaponize it as supernatural proof.
What you are describing is a textbook, almost flawless example of confirmation bias playing out in real time. It's the psychological tendency to search for, interpret, and remember information in a way that confirms your pre-existing beliefs. The facts are plain. The grandmother is elderly, and elderly people falling ill is a standard biological reality. It happens every day.
But because the family's reality is currently filtered entirely through the lens of the Tentar superstition, they are incapable of viewing this as a random event.
Right. The human brain craves narrative. It desperately wants the world to make sense according to the rules it has learned.
Even if the rules are terrifying.
Exactly. The superstition predicted someone would die. Someone got sick. Therefore, the superstition is absolutely true.
And the grandmother's reaction is fascinating and honestly deeply troubling. She develops a massive martyr complex.
Oh, how so?
She point blank refuses to see a doctor. She says that no doctor can give her the nectar of immortality. Instead, she asks Damodardat to sit by her bed and read the Bhagavat.
Ah, this is a critical detail. The Bhagavat is a revered text focused heavily on devotion, cosmic order, and surrender to the divine will. By asking him to read this, instead of seeking medicine, she is fully retreating into religious fatalism. She is accepting her role in what she perceives as a cosmic play.
She actually finds solace in the idea that the Tentar is taking her life instead of her son's.
Wow.
Yeah, she views her impending death as a successful sacrifice. She's essentially saying, the curse demanded blood, and I am glad it's mine so my son can live.
It is a heartbreaking manifestation of maternal love, completely poisoned by a cultural delusion.
Poisoned is the exact right word.
She is essentially committing a form of passive suicide to appease a ghost that doesn't exist. She embraces the narrative because it gives her illness meaning. It elevates a standard fever into a noble sacrifice.
And Damodardat's reaction is total regression. Complete surrender. He looks at his dying mother, and the text says he deeply regrets ever letting the child live.
Oh, that's dark.
He decides in that moment that a Tentar is truly a bad thing. The intellectual facade we discussed earlier completely crumbles. And I want you, the listener, to pause and imagine being in his shoes for a second. Think about your most rational, firmly held beliefs.
Right, whatever they might be.
Now imagine a highly emotional, terrifying coincidence happens. Your mother is on her deathbed, and it perfectly aligns with an irrational fear you were raised with. When panic sets in, logic is the first thing we throw overboard.
Because logic takes immense cognitive effort. It requires slowing down and assessing variables. Fear is automatic. It's a reflex.
It's instantly there.
Yeah. In moments of crisis, we default to the oldest wiring in our brains. Damodardat isn't an evil man. He's a terrified man retreating to the safety of absolute certainty, even if that certainty is a horrifying superstition.
Certainty, even a grim one, often feels safer than the unknown.
Absolutely.
Now, the family is internally panicking, but they are also dealing with immense external pressure. The community is watching, and this community scrutiny forces them to seek a traditional cure rather than a medical one. We see social contagion in full effect.
Right, because superstitions rarely exist in a vacuum. They are community property, and communities actively police them.
The text details how the neighborhood women actively validate the terror. They come around gossiping, saying things like, it's a good thing the curse targeted the old woman, and expressing how just hearing the word Tentar makes the hair on their arms stand up.
Talk about making it worse.
They are throwing fuel on the fire. Why do communities do this? Why enforce this panic on a family already suffering?
Because if the community admits the family's panic is unfounded, they have to question their own beliefs.
Ah, of course.
Gossiping and enforcing the superstition is a way of maintaining social cohesion and validating their own inherited fears. If everyone around you is treating the curse as a tangible physical threat, it becomes exponentially harder to step back and apply logic.
The community acts as an echo chamber of anxiety.
Exactly, ensuring nobody breaks rank and challenges the accepted narrative.
So the grandmother is practically on the brink of death. The text notes, there was no shortcoming in her dying. She was as close as you can get.
Right on the edge.
But instead of modern medicine, the family performs heavy, elaborate religious rituals. They donate cows to Brahmins, a ritual known as Godin, and they recite the Durga path.
Let's look closely at that specific choice of ritual. The Durga path is a recitation dedicated to the fierce, protective mother goddess.
Okay, yeah.
They are frantically praying to a divine, powerful female figure to protect them, while simultaneously neglecting and demonizing a human baby girl in their own home.
Wow, the irony is blinding. They are throwing all their spiritual and cultural weight into battling an invisible curse, praying to a mother goddess to save them from a human daughter.
It's incredibly tragic.
But eventually, the crisis passes. The fever breaks. The grandmother survives.
And this brings us to the final perfect trap of the superstitious mind. This moment of survival is exactly how the cycle reinforces itself permanently.
Because the illusion of control takes over.
Yes, the sequence of events is locked in their minds. The grandmother got sick, they performed the rituals, and she survived. Therefore, the rituals saved her.
They will forever credit the Godin and the Durga path for neutralizing the curse.
They will never consider that her immune system simply fought off a virus or that the fever naturally broke. By their logic, the baby undeniably was a curse, and only their intense traditional intervention prevented a tragedy.
So the superstition didn't just survive this test, it was fortified by it.
It became an undeniable, proven fact in their family history. The next time a Tentar is born in that community, they will point to this exact event as absolute proof that the curse is real, dangerous, and requires immediate ritual intervention. The confirmation bias loop is closed, locked, and the key is thrown away.
Facts didn't cure the fear rewrote the facts.
Perfectly said.
What a brilliant, unsettling observation of human nature by Premchand. So, what does this all mean for us today? Let's distill the key takeaways from this deep dive.
Yeah, let's wrap it up.
First, education, in the formal academic sense, is not a guaranteed shield against cultural fear. You can hold a degree, you can work in an education department, but if you haven't done the hard internal work of examining your conditioned biases, those primal fears will hijack you the second you are under stress.
Right. Intellectual knowledge has to be integrated into your emotional reality. If it isn't, it's just a thin veneer that washes away the moment you feel threatened.
Second, sometimes the pure innocence of children, like their ability to look at a situation without the heavy, distorted baggage of adult wisdom, is the only thing that pierces through prejudice.
Sidhu didn't see a complex cultural curse. He saw a hungry sister.
Yeah, that simple, uncluttered perspective saved a life. We could all benefit from occasionally looking at our problems with that level of practical innocence.
It's a powerful reminder that sometimes we need to actively unlearn what we know in order to see clearly.
Which brings us to our final, lingering thought for you to mull over. Think about how this story resolved. The grandmother lived, and the rituals got the credit. But what if the grandmother had died of her natural biological illness?
Which is a very real possibility given her age and condition.
If she had passed away, that innocent baby girl would have grown up branded as a murderer by her own parents.
Unimaginable.
She would have carried a lifetime of guilt and stigma for a biological coincidence she had zero control over. So the question to ask yourself is this: what invisible curses, what labels or inherited biases are you placing on the people around you right now simply because of coincidences you've chosen to link together?
That's a heavy question.
It is. Who are you condemning in your own life because you're looking at them through a lens of inherited fear rather than clear-eyed reality?
We all have our own versions of the 13th floor. It is deeply uncomfortable, but entirely necessary to ask who might be getting hurt because we refuse to step off the elevator.
We like to think the X-ray machine of our modern logic gives us a perfectly clear picture of reality. But as Premchand so masterfully shows, when cultural panic sets in, those diagnostic waters get incredibly murky, incredibly fast.
They really do.
Well, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. As always, we humbly ask you to subscribe to the Simplified Summary channel, drop a like on this video, and please leave a comment below.
Yes, let us know your thoughts.
Exactly. How do you see superstitions or inherited biases affecting modern life today? We can't wait to read your insights. Until next time, keep questioning the narrative.